Good morning. Happy Monday. My name is Jillian Conley, and I'm here by myself today. And we are going to talk about sales and marketing as we continue through our series, learning about how to show up for your business with intention, how to be mindful of your energy, your time. And then also, how do you know when you need to hire or find someone to support you versus developing a skill? And so, I want to sit and talk with you all about sales versus marketing and help you kind of understand what skill sets need to be developed within each category, how they think as professionals, what are they looking for, what's important to them, metric wise, goal wise, information wise. And then I want to share a couple of comparisons with you to help you understand the difference between that marketing and sales perspective based off of different focuses. And so, um, if you are watching live, and you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments below. I'm going to pull my screen up so I can watch you live and then still see my notes. So no presentation for this. This is a training that I do with our Learning Day, and I'm going to give you a very high level version of what we teach at Learning Day. But if you're a part of our sisterhood in our business school, I highly recommend don't miss October Learning Day. It's going to be a good one. You're going to learn so much about sales and marketing and how to move your business forward. So, for those of you who are new to me, I am the VP of Marketing here at the CEO Woman. And I have been in my industry, let's see, it's 20, 25, 15 years. And I have worked for large organizations, nonprofit, for profit, and churches. And I also was a business owner before where we did marketing services for different businesses. And now I'm here with the CEO Woman. And over the last 15 years of my life, I have been in multiple positions that sometimes get told are in marketing, but really are not. And so I want to put all the fire out between the two. They are not the same skills at all. The first thing is marketing by itself is designed to attract, where sales by itself is designed to close. It's designed to convert. Those are not the same things. Pulling someone to your brand and going to someone to get them to come to your brand are two very different processes and very different skill sets. As a marketer, if you are looking at your business and going, I need to attract more people, your skill set you need to be developing is storytelling, branding, and audience research. So if you're trying to bring people to you and you cannot figure out who your people are, you've got to start with these skills. Are you telling your story? Is it empowering? Do they build trust through your story? Do you have authority in your story? What is it about your story that gets your ideal customer avatar to buy from you? Are you consistent in your branding? Can they find you? Can they recognize you when they read through your website? Is it user friendly? Is it SEO'd? Is it every button works? There's no dead pages or links. Are you being intentional about your branding? And if you're not, and you don't know how to get intentional about it, please get on my calendar. Let's just take a big helicopter view of your work, your business, and we'll kind of figure out where you can get started on your branding journey. If you need to rebrand or elevate your brand or focus on your messaging or your visuals, we can help give you guidance there. But you also need to be able to do audience research, which is a really big part of retaining a client. It costs a million times more. That's a very dramatic number, but it costs I think it's like 18 views before someone is going to buy you digitally. And then developing a new client can cost someone on average around $500 on average. And if your business isn't a high ticket offer, that might not be worth it to you. So getting really, really clear about who your audience is so that you're not directing your marketing and your messaging and your branding to the wrong people because they're not going to buy. We want you to get that 10 out of 10 purchasing power. Now, from a sales perspective, the skills that you need is, so let's say you tell a really good story, your brand is consistent and you're marketing to the right audience, your salesperson, whether that's you putting on a different hat or not, they need to be listening. They need to be um, objectively handling the situation and then closing it. Their job is to literally take the person that's been attracted to the business and get them to that place where they want to connect. And that conversion piece requires trust. It requires consistency. It requires brand building, and one without the other is not very helpful. You've got to figure out how to pull them together. So if you have two people working in your business and there's any kind of like tension around who's doing what for the marketing versus the sales, this is a good place to start for you to kind of put people in their lane so they can work together versus working in competition. Now, marketing from a high level perspective is literally your long term game. This is not a sprint, it is the marathon, where sales is the sprint. So that's the difference between the type of energy you should be putting into things. Marketing is all about building layers upon layers upon layers. It's like building a brick wall that will get you somewhere. Maybe not a wall, a bridge. Let's say we're building a bridge. You just got to keep going and going with your marketing. It's an ever evolving process. It will never be exactly the same year over year. There's always going to be a flux. There's always going to be a change. There's always going to be something that you've got to be mindful of. But the biggest part of your marketing that is the most important is your marketing cannot be an emergency for your business. Your marketing needs to be steadily planned, and it needs to be something that you can rely on and has a strategy that gets you to the goals that you're setting for your business. Now, since sales is the short game and marketing is the long game, what are the skill focuses here? So for marketing, it requires patience, an enormous amount of patience. I would even argue lots of grace, because there it's science. You're you're throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks in marketing. And so you've got to be patient. You have to be creative. You've got to be able to think outside of the box so that you're not getting stuck, being left behind, doing something old or outdated, or doing a method that doesn't compare to your competitors. You want to make sure that you're being creative and thinking outside the box with your marketing, because you deserve to be seen as a business, and we want you to find those people. And you also, as a marketer, need to be able to assess analytics. This is a really big deal for your business. If you make decisions in your business without assessing your metrics and looking at your budget, you're making a hopeful decision that's pretty risky. We don't want to see people like holding their breath and hoping things work. We want to see you breathing and doing things strategically in a way that we know will yield a return on investment for your business. So as a marketer, you've got to be patient and creative and give yourself grace, because the first ad is not always going to work. Sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes we think that this is one thing, but then we learn new information through the analytics and go, whoa, we were way off, but now we know where we're going to go. Every lesson, every point of failure that you might feel is a failure in your business from a marketing perspective is actually you learning. So don't look at it as I'm failing. Look at it as I'm learning. I didn't fail, I learned. And then identify what you learned in that moment. Sales requires a totally different skill set. Sales is about persistence. You do not want to put a high empath who has rejection sensitivity in a position where they're doing sales for your company. They are going to fumble it every time. And then they're going to take it on as if it's like emotionally their problem, like they failed you trying to get you a sale. And you don't want that for your people. You want your people to feel confident and good. So when you look to identify someone to do sales for you, whether that's yourself or if it's hiring out, someone to come in, you're looking for someone who is persistent and confident, someone who understands how to build relationships and represent you as the business you are versus as them themselves. And so being an extension of a brand by being human and showing up and speaking on behalf of your business is an opportunity for you to build trust, and it's an opportunity for you to get your information out, and you only get like 3 seconds to do that. The first impression matters. If they show up dressed, you know, too casual and your business is not a casual business, they're not going to be representing you well. If they walk into a room and they're aggressive and intense, but like your business is like a meek, mild kind of inclusive experience, you're going to miss your people. They're going to bring the wrong people to you. So you need to be mindful about those differences in the marketing and sales perspective, long-term strategy versus short-term strategy, and then having patience and creativity and being able to read analytics for the marketing side versus persistence and confidence and relationship building. So as you're looking through your skill sets and try to divide and conquer, maybe take a minute to assess, do you feel like you fall into one of these categories more so than the other? And if so, can you then outsource that to someone else who would fit the opposite for you so you can work together in an integrated marketing strategy that will close? Now, marketing speaks to groups and sales speaks to individuals. So, for example, if your messaging is clear and your copywriting and campaign strategy are all like on point, then that's your marketing, right? That's the flyers, the email blasts, the newsletters. It's the maybe even an in-person presentation of whatever it is that your business does. The marketing is about making people aware in mass audiences. And mass is like a relative term, mass to your business. It might be 3 people for your business, or it might be 100. But the goal is to get you in front of people so that you have a chance to shine, so that your brand can show up and do what it does to help. And then the sales, they're in that state. Remember, we talked about them needing to be listeners. They need to be actively listening. And there is a difference between listening to respond, listening to understand, and listening to be active, like actively listening. The difference is an active listening person is going to, in the moment, assess the need to switch gears. This means that they are they're solution oriented or problem solving people. They ask really good questions. So, for example, when you're doing sales, you don't want people on your sales team asking yes and no questions. That's not helpful for you, and it doesn't cultivate relationships. People who do sales need to be asking open-ended, probing questions to determine the need or the pain point, and then turning that around into how your business is the solution for them. So, um, marketing is to groups, sales is to individuals, and the skill sets are clear messaging, making sure your copywriting is on point, and getting that campaign strategy put together. And so your sales team can then go actively listen to what's happening as this campaign is going, ask those really great open-ended probing questions, and then negotiate the sale. That's how they flow together. And then the last example I want to give about this specific skill set is that both have to be balanced. Um, Balanced business owners build visibility with their marketing and velocity with their sales. So when you're trying to think of how to balance this out for yourself, what season are you in right now in your business? Are you in a growing season? Are you prepared for that growing season? Or are you in a season to focus inward? Are you developing KPIs for your business or SOPs, which are really important things to keep you on track, to give you guidance and put you forward in your marketing? However, do you need sales? Do you need to transition from working in your business to working on your business and then doing sales? This is something that's really important because you can't. Visibility without sales closing is not helpful. Sales closing, but you're not retaining people is not helpful either. So you've got to find the balance between the two. And a couple of examples is like, let's say we have a lead magnet. And let's say a marketing team designs a lead magnet that attracts 500 subscribers. The sales must then call, or like the salespeople or person should be calling, following up, or closing a portion of those into real clients. And if they're not doing a follow-up process, they're missing the opportunity to help your marketing efforts land. The marketing might say, we need a strong brand voice on LinkedIn, but sales might say, no, we need a strong pitch on a Zoom call. So, like being open to hearing what your team is asking for and needing in order for them to be successful to close those sales for you. Now, as a marketing person, I am a marketing person. I have done sales as well, but I do not, that's not technically what I do. I'm good at it, but it's just not my focus. As a marketing and communications expert, my thing is always going to be wrapped around get that voice out, get the voice out, build the trust. How do we get people bought into the story? Now, as a salesperson, what I want them to do is, I love that idea for you, but what we need is this. That's what we need to make strategic decisions, is someone to say, I see the direction you're going, but we also want to go here. Both people or siloed roles have a lot of merit and experience to it. So you just want to find that balance. And then also, marketing is the thing that celebrates the engagement of growth, where sales is like only celebrating closed contracts. So those are very different mindsets as well. Like we could have, as an example, we have ads running with a client this past year. And after we got done running those ads, the page stayed at reaching like 50,000 people a month, which is crazy because the business is a small business and doesn't usually reach that many people. And we didn't just figure this out overnight. We have been working with this person for 5 years. We have been growing with this business for years. We've been learning and assessing and reevaluating, re-strategizing, and finally finding our niche, finally finding where these people are. It takes time, and having someone to help you celebrate that work you do in your marketing to get those followers up, to get your email leads up, or sorry, get more email addresses in your newsletter, and even bringing new people into a membership or a private group you might have on social. These things need to be celebrated. They are a big deal. You have an audience, and what I always like to tell people is like, on your social, if you only have a small amount of engagement, like one or two likes every once in a while, maybe not everything even hits. One thing I want to keep a reminder to is if you were sitting in the room with those people and there were three people at a table, would you feel like them listening to you speak about your business was a waste of your time if they were genuinely interested? I would think not, right? So that's a post that you put on your social that three people engage with. That is higher likelihood if it's actual clients and not just staff or yourself that are engaging on it, that they are genuinely interested in what you are presenting in your social media. So you don't want to take that for granted. You want to celebrate it. You want to make sure that if you connect with someone digitally, that your sales team knows how to wrap that up, how to do that handoff. Um, and then to give you just a couple of side by side comparisons on the marketing versus sales, and I just want to make sure I don't miss any comments. Okay. I see everyone that's live. If you need to drop any comments, you got questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Now, the five, I want to focus on different perspectives from a sales and marketing person. Let's pretend like they're two different people. So marketer, when we talk about the word focus, like what are they putting their energy and effort into? Marketing is awareness and attraction. Be aware, come to me. Be aware, come to me. Be aware, come to me. It's trust building over and over again. It's a repetitious process, and it should be. You need the repetition because the compound effect works in your favor down the road if you're doing it consistently today. Now, a salesperson's focus needs to be conversion and revenue, which means they need to know what your numbers are. If they don't have a goal and you're just saying, can you close some sales for me? That generic approach is never going to work in the long term. And if you're marketing, you need a long-term strategy. So you need long-term, you need your people to close high quality clients that will result in conversion and revenue. A marketer will think from a time frame perspective, always long term. It's always about nurturing. It's always about brand building. It's always about authority building. You're wanting to build trust. You're wanting to show that you're an expert or the solution to their problem. Marketing is always the long game. We don't want your business to close tomorrow. We want it to stay open for a decade or however long you want your business to be around. So marketing is looking at the long term. Sales is an immediate result. When you hire someone who's doing sales for you, they really should be able to show you a fast return on investment. If they are not, a little bit of sales training, a little bit of redirecting, but they're pretty much telling you that they're not capable of selling your product or your service. So trust what you see, trust the numbers, the math doesn't lie, and take a deep breath if you got to let someone go. I know that's not easy, but you don't want the wrong person representing your business. Now, metrics, marketing and sales both need metrics. So when you're dealing with your marketing team, you need to be thinking on the lines of reach, clicks, leads, like it's the engagement, it's the growth, it's the presence and how many people you are reaching at the same time. Where sales needs to be focused on the metrics around calls. They need to be focused on the metric around meetings and closing. If they don't know their closing ratio or don't have any awareness around what their goals are, they're just going to be floundering. Like you're not going to have success. So having that strategy in place is important. And then also the approach that a marketer takes and the approach that a salesperson takes, they are just not the same. And a marketer is going to look at it one to many, like one, like I'm the marketer and I want an audience of 250 people that are diehard fans of mine. Okay, great. So that's where my brain is going to go. How do I engage a wide audience with one message and one design or one piece of content and pull them in so that we can close them with our salespeople? Where sales, so that's marketing, it's the one to many, where sales is one to one. And those experiences are very different. If you're standing one on one with someone and talking to them, a big mistake I see people do in chamber events all the time is they literally like throw up their words on you. They just talk about themselves and it's exhausting. And not only is it exhausting, but you check out, like it becomes white noise. You don't even hear it. So if you're going to networking events and your approach isn't working, I highly, highly recommend you reevaluate your approach. One thing that I like to do when I'm doing sales is I like to remember that my goal is not to close everyone. My goal is to find our people. I don't want to work with people who don't want to work with us. I don't want to work with people who don't believe in what we're doing. I don't want clients who are unhappy before they get to us. I want to find our people. I want to make sure that I'm speaking to the right audience and that I'm giving back value and I'm showing up intentionally. And when I come into a room full of men and women and knowing that my audience is predominantly women between 35 and like 60, that's like our main audience, I'm going to seek out those women in the room. That's going to be where my brain goes because I understand who my ideal customer avatar is for my business. And I want to cultivate those relationships because you never know when they're going to be ready to say yes. Maybe they are the person that needs 18 views of your social before they buy in. And that's okay. As long as you're showing up, it should work for you. Now, the last part is the skill development. So we talk a little bit about marketing needing to do copywriting and analysis of your metrics and data that comes in behind like your website, your emails, and maybe your CRM if you have one. And then kind of going, not kind of going through and creating a strategy about how you're going to integrate these different avenues into your digital and in-person strategy as a marketer to expand your message and meet your people. Now, if you're working with the sales team, they're listening, they need to be persuasive, not necessarily manipulative, but persuasive. And then they need to be really good with the relationship management, meaning their follow up and follow through needs to be like their top thing. If they don't have that skill, they're not going to be a good fit for your sales. Um, Now, with that being said, um, with that being said, when we go into planning this last quarter of the year and identifying where you want to see yourself land, I think it's really important to take a moment to say, what works, what doesn't work. If you didn't audit your stuff in July when we were talking about all the things you needed to audit, now is the time to do that. September is almost over. We are almost into the third or the fourth quarter, and you want to make sure you're setting yourself up for success for 2016. So taking the time to build comprehensive strategies around both your marketing and sales. And a good just maybe like if you're a solopreneur and you don't have resources to hire, this is how did it. This is how I would do it again and how I do it. So when you are balancing out your schedule and your day to day, when I started my company before being here, I was a mom of three kids under three. And then it was COVID, so didn't have childcare. And so having to choose how I show up was really important. I knew sales drained me, but I also had no one to do sales for me. I knew I needed to show up, but I didn't have the capacity to show up physically. And luckily, because of the pandemic, I was able to show up virtually on these different events. And what I learned is how to close a person, how to identify your next person. And it really was all about How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That methodology works really well in sales. So if you haven't read that book, please go read it. It's like 100 years old. It's a top selling book. I think it's like second to the Bible or something. It's crazy. It sold millions of copies. That book is about like social protocols and emotional intelligence. And when you go into a networking event, the first thing I highly recommend is do not talk about yourself. You might be like, well, what do I talk about? You talk about them. You talk about them. You will win more buy-in and trust by spending your time speaking to them about them and their lives and what's important to them than you can in a year of trying to talk about yourself and see people like you. It is so much easier to find your people when you take this approach of I know that what I have is good and that what I have will work for whoever it is for. But I'm here specifically to build connections, not close leads. If you go into a networking event going, I have to close sales, that's not why people are there. They want those secondarily, but the first reason why they're there is because they are doing their marketing. They're spreading their brand awareness. They're building trust and buying and becoming authority. They're showing people that they're present in the community. And what they're looking for is to find like minded individuals who would be a good referral source for them, who might be able to say something kind about their business or advocate for them in some way, maybe their organization. And when you go into a networking event and you don't look at it as a sales focus, you look at it as a marketing focus, then you're thinking strategically and long term. You're thinking, oh, I'm at this event and I got 20 business cards. Maybe only one or two or three are really worth your time to follow up for. But let's say you get brave and you go, I'm going to have a conversation with all of these people, even if they're not your ideal customer. Because here's the thing, you never know who they know that needs you. You never know how you might be the solution to someone else's problem. And when you say, hey, I don't need anything from you, you're not even my client, but I'm just so grateful for an opportunity to learn about your business. I'd love to see who might be a good referral for you. This type of language is what cultivates trust in the networking world. You don't want to use it maliciously. You want to use it with genuine intent and being able to be honest about your intent. I am networking and I do want to grow my business, but I also want to see other people grow their businesses too. That type of humility is the kind of thing that builds long-term trust. And we want that. We want people to advocate for us and be our word of mouth marketers because that is the least expensive form of sales and marketing. So as you guys are you ladies are going through and identifying what's next in this next quarter, I highly recommend, can you look at your year over year data? And if you're in your first year, can you look month over month because you don't have enough analytics to look year over year. If you're right around there, month over month or year over year, depending on how far you're in your business, and you look at the the patterns that you're seeing year over year. Maybe October is a really big month for your business, but you know November and December are going to crash and burn because your business is weather dependent and it snows, right? Okay, that we need to be prepped for that. If you have to close your business when it snows, you're losing revenue and your people are not going to be able to work. So getting ahead of those slumps is going to be a tremendous thing. If you want to see success leading into 2026, you've got to start today. Everything you do today will compound for the next 90 days. So you've got to show it consistently and be brave, be courageous, be confident. What you have and what you've built is something that someone needs. We just have to find the right people for you. And so that's all for today. If you're watching live, thank you so much. Please feel free to comment. Sorry, my cat, Peter Parker says hi. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll check back later today on social. And then next week, a couple announcements actually. The summit sales is like done this week, I think, or next week. So if you haven't bought your ticket, you need to do it real quick. So you can click on the banner on Facebook if you're watching us there, or go to this the women, let's see, women's CEO summit.com, women's with an E, CEO summit.com, and you can buy your tickets there as well. And then also, don't forget if you're prepping for the summit, you might want to bring stuff. This is an opportunity to connect with like-minded women, and maybe having some information about your business or having a business card or a way for people to like book a call with you or learn more about you and cultivate that relationship. Women supporting women is a big deal for us. We love supporting other women. So don't forget to bring things with you that you might need to talk about your business or share a little bit about what you do and what problem you solve. And then also we have this Wednesday is, or next Wednesday is Coffee and Connections at 9 a.m. And then we have Wednesday Wellness, or sorry, Wednesday, I keep calling it Wellness, Wednesday Wisdom every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Just like Marketing Mondays live here on social. And we will be discussing more about have our summit speakers coming on and be discussing more about how you can really get your business set up for success in 2026. So for everyone watching live, thank you. If you're watching the replay, feel free to let us know below. If you have questions, comment below. We're so grateful for you. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Have a good night, morning, day. Have a good day. Happy Monday.